Taking photos of animals like these lovely dogs here can be a challenge because it's difficult to get them in the right place at the right time and to get them doing something interesting like looking off screen here, possibly as an off-screen rabbit. So the actual animals are quite interesting, but the surroundings are a little bit cluttered and distracting. The doors partially obscuring the dogs. The yellow number plate is drawing the eye away from the main subject and it's just distracting as well, but we can tidy things up in Photoshop and then make our own controlled environment so we can just enjoy focusing on the animals. This is a shot here where we've cloned out the unwanted number plate and the messy door handle. We've also opened the door a little bit more by faking a brand new door. Let me just show you the finished project here. We've got the door there. Let me just turn that on and off. You can see we've extended the canvas to make more space, and we've also created more dog as well by cloning some of the dog's fur and extending it outwards. I'll show you how to do that. And you can see there that there's a big difference. It's much less cluttered and it's much more simplified, and we can now focus just on the animals. And the number plate is being hidden by this particular layer here, so you can see we're cloning onto separate layers, which gives us much more control over the finished look. We can even take the door layer, grab the move tool and just close or open the door a little bit more to reveal hidden detail, like so. Well, it's not really hidden, it's detail we've actually rebuilt using the clone stamp. But I'll show you how to do all of that by using this source image, which we'll find on the cover disk. It's called Clone Before. So kick off by creating a brand new layer. Click here to create the new layer. This is going to be the number plate clone, so we're going to type in number plate just so we've identified the layer and we know what it is later. It's always a good plan to organize yourself right at the start. I wish I could do that in real life. Okay, so let's take that clone stamp tool now by pressing S or clicking here to select the clone stamp like so. Make sure you don't have the pattern stamp because that will add horrible patterns to your shot. This is the one we want. And the next thing to do is to make sure that mode is on normal, opacity is on 100, and untick aligned, because I'll show you why in just a second. Make sure that all layers is ticked, so it will sample the layer below, even though we're cloning onto this top transparent layer. Next thing to do is to zoom in to get a better look. Take a brush size of around about 300 pixels. Click here to close that for the moment, and then just Alt-click to sample a clear bit of green paint. Around about there should do the trick. Then move down to here and click to spray the sampled area. You see the little crosshair over the unwanted door handle. Now if you go too far down, you'll start to replace the door handle with itself. You see it's actually moving it down like so. So when that happens, just let go. And because we've unaligned the shot, the aligned bit is unticked. Then when we click again, it's going to go back to the original sampled area, so we can get a clear bit. Let go again, click again, and that is a great way of jumping back up to the original sample clear area. You can always take a new sample like here once you start to generate new clearer bits, and then click and spray, and slowly but surely by clicking and spraying you can basically replace the unwanted number plate. I'm just going to hit tab to get rid of the floating windows. There's a bit of dog there, no problem. Alt click again to sample a clear bit and spray over him like so. So little and often is the motto here. Just keep on clicking and sampling to get clear bits of paint and paste those over the unwanted number plate and the door handle. Shouldn't take too long. And there we have our cloned out number plate. You can see if I turn this on and off, you can see before and after, and we're also getting a good preview of the cloned pixels, and that's because I've set my options to the following. Make sure you're on layer bounds, not entire document. If you've got that selected, then what happens is you see the whole layer and a little bit of cloned texture there. It's quite hard to tell what that is, but if you've got the palette options set to layer bounds, then you can see much more detail in the cloned pixels. That was the relatively easy bit. Now what we're going to do is to increase the size of the shot so we've got more room to open the door and reveal bits of the dogs that are hidden. And to do that, first of all, we need to go to Image, Resize and Canvas Size. We don't want to go to Image Size or that will distort the shot. Canvas Size just makes more space. Click to the left of the anchor here and then change the width to 25 instead of 24. Click OK, and that just creates an extra bit of canvas for us to work with. Next thing to do is to create a new layer, and we're going to call this new layer Dogs. And we're going to extend the dogs into this particular layer here to make them larger and show more details. So we're on the dogs layer. I'm just going to move the layers palette over here for the moment just to get it out of the way. And what we want to do is extend the dogs over the old door to get rid of it. So to get rid of this cluttered door, what we're going to do is extend the dogs over the door, and we need to use similar pixels to do that. So what I'll do is go to the top of the dog here, make sure you've got a line tick this time, and 150 pixels is big enough for our brush. Alt click to take a similar area like the top of the head, and we can then extend that down over the unwanted door like so. And again, remember, little and often, that should be enough for the moment for that bit. We can take this grey bit here, click to sample, click to spray, and we're extending similar pixels over the unwanted door. You might get repeating patterns like this bit of distinctive fur here, but we can tidy that up later and get rid of it just as easily by clicking Alt in a darker part and then spraying. Just add a bit of variety and make it less noticeable that we've cloned. A dark bit here will then logically spray over into this section here. Lots of little Alt clicks going on, and slowly but surely we're increasing the area that the dog is occupying to hide the door. Now the bottom of the dog is actually hidden by the door, and to replace that, what we need to do really is to steal some logical similar pixels from the other dog. So we've got the front of the other dog in the background, press S for the clone stamp, Alt click to grab a bit of that pooch, and then just click and spray to bring that in like so. And that takes a bit of dog body from one dog and transplants it onto the other dog transplants. Very dodgy stuff. There we go. So that is kind of merging in there. We can then sample this dark a bit, maybe take the opacity down a little bit to 73%, and just click and spray just to gently merge the foreground and the background dog a little bit more effectively together. And then just keep clicking and spraying. Take the opacity back up again once you've done that little blend, and we can then carry on extending the dog into the far right there, just enough to give us a bit more breathing room for the dogs. We can then fake a new door on top of the dogs just to make the shot look much more symmetrical. I'm just going to pop up now and keep on extending the top section. Alt click, spray. This is a much easier bit to do, as you can see. And then I'm jump forward in time so you can see how the clone dogs are shaping up. Once you've extended the doggy details to remove the cluttered and obscuring door, you can create a new door just to frame this shot nicely. And do that by clicking here, type door into the label like so, and then we'll draw a door shape with the rectangular marquee tool. Click and draw like so. There we go, there's our new door. You can move it to the right slightly with the move tool by clicking within the actual rectangular marquee. And then to place a door in there, all we'll do is press S for the clone stamp, Alt to sample this little bit here, and then move along the imaginary line to get it sort of similar in position, and click and spray. And there we've added a similar door detail to the right of the screen from the left. So we're rebuilding our door from scratch by transplanting the original door's pixels to the right. So that shouldn't take too long to do at this bottom section. And then of course I'm just going to click down here in a clear area and carry on spraying to fill the top of the layer like so. So the new door should be ready to install very, very quickly with a bit of paint transplant like so. Control D to deselect the door. Now it's quite possible that your door will have a bit of a sharp edge. If that does turn out to be the case, you can soften it a little bit, make it look less computer generated by grabbing the blur tool and set that to about 103 pixels should do the trick. Make sure 100%, leave all layers unticked so we're just blurring the door, and then just click here and hold shift and then click down here and it will actually blur between the 2 points, so it's a very blurred straight line. You need to do that a couple of times maybe. Shift, click, and then keep the shift key held down, click again, and that just softens the edge of the door. And the cool thing with the door is, of course, with the move tool we can open it even more or close it. As long as we've got enough dog to play with, we can actually reveal more dog. So that's a very easy way to fine-tune the composition of our shot. Now we've got rid of all the distracting elements in this shot, we can fine-tune its levels just to make a nice range of contrast. So to do that, let's create an adjustment layer, go to levels. You can see that the bottom of the darkest pixels isn't quite as dark as it could be, so drag the shadow input level slider to the right just a tad, and that will then darken the darkest blacks in the shot. Click OK. Let's just turn that on and off. You can see there's a little bit of a subtle change there, but that gives us a nice contrast range and there's no clutter, so we have an improved composition and a much more successful wildlife shot.